Hello, and welcome to Season 3 of Cabaret Beat. I am your host, Wydetta Carter, and I am thrilled to bring you more conversation with members of the Chicago Cabaret Professionals. This season, the Paris-inspired jazz club Le Piano in East Rogers Park, Chicago, is our backdrop. Today's guests are Jonathan Lewis and Boobs Radley. So come on in and join us for Cabaret Beat. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2.
When a star is born, they possess a gift or two. One of them is this: they have the power to make a wish come true. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires can come to you. If your heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do, fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, suddenly it comes in view. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Welcome to Cabaret Beat, and welcome, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am thrilled to have you here. I've known you a few years now, and now they're going to get to know a little bit about you.
Ooh.
So let's get started.
Okay.
Okay. So you have been doing musical theater for 30 years. Let's start with the musical theater and work our way to cabaret. So you go as far back as you want to go.
1969, more than 30 years.
You were 3? No.
I was 10 and a half, and my family is not musical. They love theater, but we're not musical, and it's something I wanted to do. And I got cast as Winthrop, and I worked for 30 years from that point in time until I was 40, and then I retired, and that was a few years back. So But yeah, I did, the kid roles in a lot of musicals, all the way through grade school, junior high, high school. Then I went to college, got in with a light opera company in Tucson, Arizona, where I was going to school, and did 14 productions with them in 4 years in a row.
14 productions in 4 years.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah, just one right after the other. It was actually a job while I was going to school. And then when 2 years after graduation, I stayed in Arizona for a while. I moved to Washington, D.C. because, like so many of my friends that moved to New York and became waiters and never worked as actors again, I decided that I needed to go somewhere and sort of gain a few more grown-up credits. And so I ended up in Washington, D.C. because it had this huge circuit of dinner theaters. Baltimore's an hour north. There were 5 dinner theaters in Baltimore, and there were 7 in the D.C. suburbs. And I auditioned literally 2 days after I got there. I got cast 4 days after I got in there, and then I worked nonstop for 9.5 years until I left DC. And I did, in the 9.5 years, I did 47 productions at dinner theaters, some of the storefront theaters, and a lot of other things like that. So, and then I ended up down in Florida for 2 years. I got hired on an equity contract at the Jupiter Theater, which used to be Burt Reynolds. Yes. And I was cast as the Heavenly Friend in Carousel. Then did the Maury Yeston, Arthur Coppett version of Phantom, Singing in the Rain, their Christmas show, South Pacific, and Man of La Mancha. And so they just kept hiring me back under equity contracts. And so I did several shows. And then it sort of felt like time to do something different. And I came back to Chicago, which is actually, I was born and spent the first 8 years of my life in the Chicago area out in Lombard.
In Lombard, okay.
So I moved back in '94, and then I hit the equity brick wall here in Chicago and did a couple of equity children's theater, some industrial films, and a couple of commercials, but then I really couldn't resurrect the theater career, which was disappointing. So I retired at age 40.
But just think about what you just told me, how many shows that you've done in that time frame.
115 productions.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Well, yeah. I applaud you.
Thank you.
You know, as a fellow lesbian, yeah. I really applaud you on that, because that's a lot.
Yeah.
And of course you loved it.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have kept it up.
Yeah.
And just to touch on the dinner theaters are like very few. It used to be one of the largest contracts around.
Oh,
and
my
now,
gosh.
And that's just a shame. That's just a shame. You know, dinner and a show, you know. So, okay, so that brought you here. And now, how did you transition into cabaret?
Cabaret actually happened when I was in the DC area, and it was sort of a two-pronged thing. The dinner theaters would often do a cabaret performance after the Friday or Saturday night show. And so in the middle of the week, they'd do a sign up, and whoever signed up for the 12 slots first would get to sing that week. And I always knew when they were going to post it. So I always performed, and it amounted to like 45 different cabaret productions every single year for 9.5 years. So I did a lot. I also had a voice teacher, a woman named Margaret Riddleberger. I first had worked with an opera star, Todd Duncan, Porgy, in the original Broadway production of Porgy and Bess.
Okay.
He was an opera teacher, but I didn't want to focus on opera, and he sort of fired me as his student. But Mrs. Riddleberger, Ms. R, as we called her, she didn't make it a requirement, but she said she didn't teach voice, she taught the person. And she said the only way you'll get to know who you are as a person is to create your own solo cabaret show. And a lot of her students would create the shows, but they would never actually perform them. I did.
Okay.
And so my first cabaret show was almost 40 years ago. It was 1983. And it was in actually a gay bar in Georgetown, just west of downtown DC, where all the monuments and the Kennedy Center are. And they liked me and they invited me back, so I just kept doing shows. About every 2 years, I'd create another show.
Okay, well, speaking of creating shows, you told me this, Harry Warren. Tell me that story about what you created in the the title and what happened.
Harry Warren is one of my favorite songwriters. Most people know him for the songs of 42nd Street. And so he wrote Jeepers Creepers, Etta James at Last is one of his songs. On the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe, just great, great songs. He's one of my favorite songwriters. And so I decided the only songwriter tribute show I did, I came up with the idea of a really clever name, and it was because Harry Warren wrote on commission for the Hollywood studios. He would write maybe one song. He wrote a lot of songs for Carmen Miranda, but then they'd have other songwriters in. So I came up with the idea of calling it the Harry Warren Commission. Like a play on the Warren Commission. And so I was at this gay bar, and I had flyers all around DC, wherever I could think to put them. And I was doing it. It was really well received. But then these two men walked in, thought that they were hearing a lecture on the JFK assassination. And I just imagine their surprise when all the men in the bar are starting to sing along with me. Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, but I think that was one of the shows that I felt best about, because it just music that just makes me smile and your heart sing.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. Well, I mean, you are an eclectic person, is what I'll say, because guess what? You wrote a book.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what is that? The book, the title?
This is my second book. The first one I wrote 9 years ago was published in 2013, but that was sort of an unhappy situation because I was the hired ghostwriter on that, and I had no say over the publication, and they kept changing and distorting it. So, but I've been a writer. When I retired from theater, I became the film critic for Gay Chicago magazine, which I did for 15 years. And I've always written things. My husband has a travel company, and I've written all of his materials and his travel itineraries for the last 27 years that we've been together. And I had this story inside of me. The book that I wrote, and which should be published in a few weeks, is called Celestial Navigation. And it is semi-autobiographical. It's based on a difficult time in my life, which was my teenage years. And it was inspired by a friend that I said goodbye to when I went off to college and never saw again. And I only found out about 3 years ago that he disappeared into the ocean 20 years ago. And so this is sort of my tribute to him, and just talking about loss of innocence and friendship and stuff. So I'm really excited about it. It's been edited. The cover art has been decided upon. Now it's just like getting it promoted and getting the darn thing into print. So that'll be soon.
Okay, are we going to do a little book tour around town? Something coming up that we can look forward to?
Yeah, but I'm actually thinking about doing a companion cabaret show as a way to sort of talk about some of the issues in the show. I mean, in the book. The book has some tragic elements to it, but it's also about sort of finding your identity and learning how to overcome adversity. Okay. And so I've been sort of playing with this idea of a cabaret show called Twisted Love, and finding really off-kilter songs about various passages in one's life and how they deal with the challenges and things. So it's in the works. So, Twisted Love.
Twisted Love, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, you have done a lot, young man. And I am saying young man. Okay, because we're young.
Yes, we're young. We're always
young.
Yeah.
We're young, okay? In our minds, we're young.
Yeah.
So anything else coming up in the new year for you? What's happening in 2023?
It's interesting because when I stepped away from musical theater, that was really kind of hard and painful. But I love the autonomy of the cabaret world, because when you're an actor, you have to sort of fit a type. And even as theater has become more corporate, I had a problem. I'm a natural blonde, and I, was never seen as mature enough to play leading roles in musicals. I would always be like the tenor sidekicks. And even the original musicals, going back to the Golden Age, all the leading roles for men were baritones.
Right.
And you would have like the Stubby K songs in Guys and Dolls and, you know, Little Abner that were, you know, specialty songs, not really leads. And now it's so funny because since 2000, virtually every role they're writing for men in musical comedy, they're all tenors, you know? And so it's sort of like, darn it, I missed.
Timing is everything.
Oh,
It's
gosh,
like, really now?
I'm in the wrong generation, darn it. But yeah, and so for me, I love that you can take a song, make it your own. It doesn't, nobody is telling you what you can sing or what you can play or anything. And I know that people within the Chicago Cabaret community will say, when am I going to see that one-man show of yours? And I haven't done a solo cabaret show in 30 years. That's how long.
Time.
And I kind of feel like it's time. And I also have been, I sort of retired from the paycheck world this year just to finish up the book. And I have really trying to force myself to I still play flute and piccolo after 50 years. I've been trying to sing more, which I, you know, haven't done consistently for a lot of years. So I'm trying to sing every day, and so I kind of feel we're at that place. I'm going to do it
Yay.
soon.
Well, we look forward to this.
Thanks.
So this has been one. Time flies.
Yep.
And this has been a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
But before you go, you have to tell us, what are you going to take us out with? What song?
I love comic songs. Noel Coward's Nina from Argentina.
Nina from Argentina. All right. Well, thank you again, Jonathan. This has been great.
Thanks.
I'd like to tell a story about a friend of mine, a most disagreeable girl. Senorita Nina from Argentina knew all the answers, though all her relatives and friends were perfect dancers. She swore she wouldn't dance a step until she died. She said, I've seen too many movies, and all they prove is too idiotic. They all insist that South America's exotic, whereas it couldn't be more boring if it tried. She added firmly that she hated the sound of soft guitars beside a still lagoon. She also positively stated that she could not abide a southern moon. She said, I hate to be pedantic, but I'm driven nearly frantic when I see that unromantic, sycophantic lot of sluts forever wriggling their guts. It drives me absolutely nuts. She refused to begin the begin when they requested it, and she made an embarrassing scene if anyone suggested it, for she detested it. Though no one ever could be keener than little Nina on any number of very eligible men who danced the rumba. When they proposed to her, she simply left them flat. She said that love should be impulsive, but not convulsive, and syncopation had a discouraging effect on procreation, and she would rather read a book, and that was that. Senorita Nina from Argentina despised the tango, although she never was a girl to let a man go. She wouldn't sacrifice her principles for sex. She looked with scorn on the gyrations of her relations who danced the conga, and swore that if she had to take it any longer, she'd lose all dignity and wring their silly necks. She said that frankly she was blinded to all their over-advertised romantic charms. And when she got more bloody-minded, she told them where to stick their tropic palms. And she could not refrain from saying that their idiotic swaying and those damn guitarists playing were an insult to her race, and that she really couldn't face such international disgrace. She declined to begin the begin, though they besought her to. And in language profane and obscene, she cursed the man who's taught her to. She cursed Cole Porter, too. From this it's very clear that Nina, in her demeanor, grew so offensive that when the hatred of her friends grew too intensive, she thought she better beat it while she had the chance. After some trial and tribulation, she reached the station and met a sailor who had acquired a wooden leg in Venezuela. And so she married him because he couldn't dance. There surely never could have been a more irritating girl than Nina. They never speak in Argentina of this degenerate bambina who had the luck to find romance and resolutely wouldn't dance. She wouldn't dance. Olé!
And welcome to another cocktail intermission. I am so longing for the summertime that I thought it would make something that would remind us of the summer. This is also a great drink for brunch. All we need is a little pineapple juice, some vodka, some lime, some mint, some ice, and the grenadine is optional. All right, so all we gotta do is get ourselves a half ounce of lime juice. Simple enough. If you can hold on to the lime. Half ounce of lime juice right on the top there. 3 ounces of pineapple juice. Ounce and a half, that's 3. 2 ounces of our vodka. Excellent. Simple drink, very tasty. We're going to garnish it with a lime wheel. Okay, there you go. We got 3 mint leaves. Gonna give these a little bit of a smash with my fingers. Drop them right in. Give them a little bit of a stir. Float a little bit on the top. Now, if you have some grenadine and you want to make this look pretty, all we got to do is tip it on its side. Put a little grenadine there. It goes right to the bottom. Gives you a nice color. How about that for the summer wind? Oh, the summer wind come blowing in across my lips. That is really a most excellent cocktail. Great for brunch. Great for just reminding yourself that summer's right on the way. So, enjoy the rest of the show.
Some of these days, you're gonna miss me, honey. Some of these days, you're gonna feel so lonely. You're gonna miss my honey.
Welcome to Cabaret Beat and welcome Boobs.
Hi.
I have to admit, I love saying that. Welcome Boobs.
I mean, who doesn't?
Oh my goodness, I am so thrilled that you are here.
I am so thrilled to be here, Wydetta. Thank you.
And I'm just looking forward to learning more about you and how you got into the burlesque world.
Yeah.
But before that, I know there's a beginning to everything. So we're going to go back because I want to hear a little bit about the story that you were bitten by the performing bug when you first played a flower in the kindergarten pageant. Go.
Yeah. Okay, I don't even remember what the pageant was about anymore. I remember that I was a flower and we were in a big garden. I don't think I had any lines or anything, but I got to put on my favorite dress and my mom put like little blush on my cheeks, and then I had like a little flower headpiece that I put on, and I was like, and then I got to stand in front of everybody and they looked at me and were clapping. And I was like, this is it. Like, sign me up. I don't want to stop.
They're clapping for a flower.
Right?
This is the beginning of my career.
I got to be the center of attention, which I love. So I was just like, nope.
See, in the kindergarten, aren't we like 5 years old?
Right, yeah.
So at 5 years old, you were like, oh, I get it. I got it.
I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It totally was.
I love that. Okay, so then take us further then. So when did music even come into your life that you really...
I have always been a singer. I've always loved to sing songs. I remember my dad used to have this 8-track tape.
I remember 8 tracks.
Right?
It's okay.
That he would put in the car, and we would sing all these old like 50s and 60s songs, like the Big Bopper, and I just loved it. I sang along. I thought this was fantastic. You know, then I got into choir in school, of course, and did that a lot. And you know, we went on some trips to the nation's capital, to Washington D.C. and that kind of thing. And I remember in 8th grade, this was another non-singing thing, but another like performance thing. We had to write a play and perform it in front of the whole school. And so my friend who I was working with wrote the play, and she wrote me to be this like Igor character, right? And you know, I got to go up on stage and be, you know, yes, master, and be, you know, and be really, really dumb. And I was like, that's, boom, we're there. I'm cemented. And so, you know, I went to high school, did the choir thing, did the band thing, did the, you know, high school plays, musicals, all of that stuff, singing lessons, all of that. And then in college, I was a theater major, did all those musicals there, you know, all that kind of thing. And, you know, and it's just always been a part of my life. Music has always been a part of my life.
So when you said you did college shows, what was your favorite show that you did?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, now were you Audrey?
I was.
Oh my goodness.
It was so fantastic.
Oh, Seymour.
Right?
I know. That was like the first professional show I did here in Chicago.
Fantastic.
So, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, you gotta love it.
I get it.
It's such a great show.
And actually right now I can see you doing that. I can really see you getting so into it. So that's wonderful. So now, how did you, when you graduated from college then,
right?
Where did you go from there?
That's when I moved to Chicago. You know, I was going to come to
From
Chicago.
where?
I grew up in Northeast Indiana.
Okay.
You know, I had some friends. You know, I'm like, okay, we're all going to move to Chicago and become actors in the big city. And okay, none of us did. None of us did.
Okay.
You know, we all. I mean, you know,
Yeah, it happens.
Life
It happens. Yeah.
Things occur. You know, I did a couple of things with some of those friends, some small shows and that kind of thing. But for a long time, I just the performance side of me kind of, you know, died out. And you know, as I got older, you know, past college and, you know, into my 30s, and I started going, wait a minute, that was something I really loved.
Right.
And I missed, you know, doing those things. And I took some classes, burlesque classes, with Michelle Lamore, who is huge in the Chicago burlesque scene, and she, you know, she's throughout, you know, the world really. And I started doing, you know, I started doing burlesque I took some classes and I thought, oh, I'll just do this for fun. It's just, fun thing. And then I was like, right, I used to love to perform and this is awesome. So I started performing and, and then it was like, well, everybody's got a gimmick. Right? You got to have a gimmick.
Yeah. Ding.
I feel like there's a song about that.
Yeah, okay. There's a song about everything, but there's definitely a song about
one
that.
about that, right? Yeah. And there's also a very long tradition of burlesque having that, kind of bawdy songstress who does those, suggestive songs or outright dirty songs and that kind of thing. And I was like, wait, why not? It was like the Reese's peanut butter commercials, like singing and burlesque, two great tastes that taste great together.
There you go.
So, and that's how, and I started, bringing song into my burlesque, and then, and it's just kind of been evolving from there as I, move toward whatever happens next.
I mean, that, to me, it was meant to happen when it did, too, because, you had to take whatever time was in between you coming here thinking, oh my goodness, I am here, hire me. And did you not hear me?
It's like,
and
no, still here.
Still here. And then realize that it's something that you love. And if we're not happy in life with what we're doing, then, I mean, so you found a way to bridge it. And before we even started today, I was talking to you about burlesque went away from Chicago. Totally.
It did, yeah.
And now it's coming back. And I was like, here's a whole nother art form that so many people don't have a clue about it. So if someone wanted to ask you, all right, tell us, okay, burlesque, and say, what is it that you do? What would you say?
I mean, burlesque comes from the old time striptease. Burlesque started out in the vaudeville era, being that kind of send up of rich culture and that kind of thing. As that, matured and came about, they started adding people who take off their clothes too. So burlesque, really the heyday, I think, was probably in the 30s through the 60s, I would say. And it's the old time equivalent of modern striptease, and so burlesque is cheeky in a way that I think traditional club stripping isn't always. Right. There's usually an element of humor, of cheek, or whatever, and it's generally it is more feminist and more queer focused than I think a lot of strip clubs can be. A lot of female performers in burlesque are performing for the female gaze as opposed to the male gaze, in that we are wanting to show our own sexuality and our own feelings of power, and instead of being objectified without our permission, we're saying, I'm allowing you to objectify me in this moment, in this time, in the way I want to be objectified. Yeah. It's very taking control of your sexuality and your power.
That's one of the best definitions I've ever heard of it. And it's great because some people go, oh, she sings and then she takes off her clothes and it's done. It's like, no. Let's really think about this.
Yeah.
And it's so funny when you say you got to have a gimmick, because what that's from is a show that's about that,
stripping.
So
exactly.
And everybody knows it, and everybody loves it, and so and I just think it's just another form of not just entertainment, but lets people think.
Yes.
Think about what.
Yes. And there's so many different kinds. There's there's nerd burlesque. There's
I even like the title of that, nerd.
Nerdlesque. I love nerdlesque. There's contortionist. There's boylesque. There's people. What I really like about it is that it comes from a place of wanting, of empowerment, and the idea that everybody is a good body and everybody can do burlesque. And I think that's what when I mentioned the female gaze, that's kind of what I'm thinking about,
Right.
is like, we see bodies other than the norm, other than the mainstream,
We actually
norm.
see real people.
Yes.
Okay, let's put it this way: real people.
Real people. Yeah.
And I mean, we're all collectively different, but we're all real. And, it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to see the same thing in
Right.
front of me
And
all
I
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Make
And
my, open my mind a little bit.
Yes,
So-
and show me what your sexy is.
There you go. There you go. So share this story with me. You said you were performing a body song in a strip club, and the crowd was a bit rowdy, and you didn't know. It's like, I think it's one of the first things that you did. It ended up with saying, "Man, I need a drink," or something.
So this was actually not too long ago. I was at a club. It's a bar here in town, and they have burlesque and variety performances throughout the evening. So I'm doing this kind of body song, and the mic's not working, and the crowd's not really listening, and it's just sort of like, this is not going great. So I throw away the mic because it's not working anyway, belt my lungs out, and just bring the whole thing, with the shaking and the booty smacking and all of this stuff, bring the whole thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like taking off my bra, and I'm like, wait for it. And the bra comes off, and I hit this final note, belt it out, and then the curtain comes down, and I hear a guy go, "Damn, I need a drink." And I was like, yes. One of the best moments, I have to say,
You caused somebody to drink. Okay.
Right?
I love that.
I impressed somebody that much that they were like, oh, okay.
Okay. Damn, I need a drink after that. I love that.
Exactly. And I'm like, yep.
Wow.
That's a great moment.
Wow. Well, okay. Time has flown. It's gone. Our
It's
time,
gone
our
already.
Time is gone.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But thank you so much. You managed to put so much into this short amount of time we had. And I'm quite sure everyone watching is now going, burlesque. I think I need to check that. If they haven't,
You do.
They need to check it out.
They do.
Okay, all
And
right.
we do have a really great scene here in Chicago with a lot of great performing spaces. So Google it. You'll
Google
find
it
them.
and find it. Okay, and they'll find you too.
They'll find me
So,
too.
Okay. So before you go, please tell us, what song are you going to sing for us?
Sure. I am going to do Everybody's Girl from Steel Pier.
Great. Thank you so much, Boobs. This has been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
A long time ago, a lady whose name was Carmen drove a man wild until he was out of control. I truly believe that I am a modern day Carmen, in spite of the fact I do not habla español. That girl was exactly like me. We share this philosophy. Olé. I'm not the type who's ready for dating someone steady. I'm everybody's girl. On Sunday night, it's Danny. On Monday, maybe Manny. I'm everybody's girl. There's a point to my behavior, which is smart girls always share their riches. So if your heart succumbs, don't let it. You're certain to regret it. All others, come and get it. I'm everybody's girl. I could never be a cowhand's girl. No. La 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 la. Don't you want to know why? I'll tell you why. 'Cause I just can't keep my calves together. Ow! Some old Greek called Aristotle said it. If you got it, why not spread it? So don't go rattling any sabers, exerting any labors. Just share me with the neighbors. I'm everybody's girl. You knew you weren't getting out of here without a shimmy. In case your passion rages, I'm in the yellow pages. Honey, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Grindr, I'm on OkCupid. Just swipe right. Yeah. You won't be disappointed. I'm also double jointed. I'm everybody's girl. Though it leaves a lot of fellas kicing, I'm a Python, needs dispersing. So to reaffirm my status, it's absolutely gratis to use my apparatus. I'm everybody's girl. You know, men and me are like pianos. When they get upright, I feel grand. Everybody's girl.
Thank you for tuning in to another Cabaret Beat. To learn more about the Chicago Cabaret Professionals or to make a donation, please visit us at our website. Look at the link below. You'll find out a lot of information about when and where members of the Chicago Cabaret Professionals are performing. Take care and see you next time on Cabaret Beat.